video. I'm really excited for you to check it out. Share it with your friends if you think that might help them. We're just going to be doing some editing on a picture that I shot at the Oasis last night. It was a really cool scene. It was really dark out there, and the sun had just dipped over the mountains, so we actually got a really cool shot of some nice blue, and we got some orange tones in there that we're going to bring out, and really hope this edit helps. Hey guys, it's Cody with Central Texas Studios, and I'm bringing you a shot that was actually done last night at the Oasis here in Austin. Pretty cool little restaurant. It's on the top of a hill here overlooking Lake Travis. Our once beautiful lake with so much water in it, and it's actually lowered a whole lot since we've had a bunch of droughts. So let's kind of dive into the edit. We actually shot this right after the sun went down over the hills here, which is really cool, and kind of want to just bring back some of the warmth and maybe do a little split tone on the top to cool it down. So my camera brought it in at 5600 Kelvin, which is about what I shot it at, but I always just bring up the warmth just a tad. So globally, if you bring up the warmth, that's going to kind of warm up the water and everything. I really like what it does down to the deck down there. I'm going to add just a little bit of magenta to the tones. Just I think it's pretty. It's not unrealistic. The tones were there. It's just it was really dark and it's hard to see them. So the exposure was actually fine. I shot this at about minus one stop of what it actually was. Shot it on my Tokina, 16 and 28 there at f9 ISO 160. So if you hit I, you can get rid of that information up there in the top. So let's quickly kind of go through and do this edit. So normally, first thing I do is just bring down the highlights and kind of get the sun looking a little bit more less blown out. Bring the shadows up just a little bit so now we can see a little bit more of the deck. I don't want to do too much. I don't want the water to be like completely white, so we'll do that. If you hold down the Alt key, I'm on a PC, you can actually drag your white point until you just start to see a smidgen of white. So the whites are actually really good. And then the blacks, we're actually going to bring those up a little bit until we can't see. As you can see up in the histogram up here in the top, you want this to not be fully against the left side. So what it's doing is you're actually holding Alt and you drag it just to the right so it gets out of that range. And already we're looking pretty good here. Clarity, we want to bring up just a little bit. Clarity is going to make everything just a little crispy. We don't want it. You don't want to do the whole thing. You don't want to go all the way. But actually, for globally, I'm going to actually take the clarity to about right here, about plus 24. And then our vibrance. Vibrance we're going to use. Saturation we're not. So vibrance will kind of bring up some colors that we want to. And it's going to kind of leave some that we don't alone, like magentas and purples and things like that. We don't want those oversaturated. So if we go down, we're going to skip the tone curve. We've already done our white and black points. Saturation, we want some more orange. So we're just going to bring up the orange just a little bit, and because it is a sunset. And the yellows, I don't want to crank the yellows too much. So we're going to kind of leave those the way they are. And then purples, we do have some purples in the sky. I don't want them showing through way too much. So let's go ahead and just drop it to there. Detail, sharpening, I'm going to take it down. Lightroom default always brings it in at 25. So we're going to hold Option or Alt and we're going to mask out. We're going to turn only what we want to see sharpened, and that's going to be white. So you can see down here, it's going to be the tables and some of this stuff down here. That's kind of what we want sharpened. So let's go ahead and increase that, and we should get a nice sharpening of that without worrying about the rest of the picture getting over sharpened. And then the profile correction, I was using a very wide angle lens, so it doesn't actually have it, it doesn't recognize my lens by default. So we're going to go ahead and go to custom, and then when I select Tokina, it's actually the first one on the list. And so Adobe does have the profile, you just kind of have to select it. And if you see before and after, kind of see where we were, it's kind of distorted, and then it kind of pulls it back out. So that's looking really nice. And then what we're actually going to do is bring back a little bit of the vignette. I did like that, so bring it down about minus 10. And then as far as the grain is concerned, you can add grain if you like. I really don't like adding grain to my photos. That's why I shoot them at a low ISO so I don't have any noise. Now we've kind of got the horizon split. It's, it's pretty up here, but there's really no information. So if I hit the R key, we're actually pull up, oops, I hit full screen. We're actually going to pull up the crop tool, and we're going to crop this down. We're going to use the rule of thirds and actually get this down to about right there. And we're going to hit enter, and that will commit our crop. So now what we have is more of a wide angle shot. It's kind of a square crop before, and then now we've got this more wide angle shot. So we've brought back the detail in down here. We've also brought out some detail in the water. What we're actually going to do now is take an adjustment brush, and we're going to actually play with some of the warm hues out in the picture here. So if you get an adjustment brush, you can actually manage locally what each of these looks like, and you can see a mask if you hit the O key. So we're going to paint this all. And if you want to increase your brush, you can use the bracket keys. Bracket right will open that brush up. And I've got the auto mask feature on, so it's kind of staying just on the sky there. If I hit O, it'll make it go away. So now anything that I do will not do anything globally. It will actually just bring down, let's bring the exposure down just a touch. If we do some contrast, but I don't want to do the contrast. So we'll kind of leave that alone. And we don't need to bring the clarity. We can actually bring the clarity down just a little bit. And if you want to adjust the tint, we can make the sky just a little bit bluer. Just up there at the top. We don't need to do too much. We can add a little bit of, we don't need to worry about the tint too much. Let's bring that back up just a little bit. So we've kind of brought back a little bit of the blue that we lost when we made the global warming adjustment. So if you're done with that brush, you can actually hit new and you can do a new one. And what we're going to do is actually paint the deck. So if I hit O, I can see what I'm painting. And we just want to paint the deck. And if you don't want it to mask things out, so anything outside your little circle, there's a small circle and a big circle. Anything outside the small circle gets masked out. If you don't want that on, just turn off auto mask. And then I turn it back on so it'll be on the next time that I use this. So let's hit O. Let's get out of that. And what I want to do is actually, I want to bring up some contrast in that, a little bit of clarity, really sharpen those tables. Saturation, it's a little bit oversaturated in that picture. And then the temperature, I think I like it pretty warm. I mean, it is a wooden deck down there, so it does have some warm tones into it. And we can sharpen it up just a little bit. So you can see what that does. We don't actually have to worry about the rest of the picture actually being too sharp, too warm, or anything like that. We can actually bring that down and do that. So once we're done, we're going to hit done. And that's pretty much it. I'm pretty happy with this picture from last night. There's actually nobody sitting down here, which is kind of strange. I don't know if they had it blocked off, but it turned out to be a great picture and pretty happy with it. Thanks again for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe to my page if you want to see more updates, and we'll see you soon.